there's something that realistically most people haven't picked up on yet. And that's the fact that Central Asia is one of the most dynamic regions in the world right now. And especially places like Kyrgyzstan are becoming quickly the most compliant yet low-tax jurisdictions in these large societies. And while many people from Central Asia are moving out, smart people are moving in. Hello and welcome back to the Traveling Report. Today we're gonna go over Central Asia, and in particular Kyrgyzstan, as an example of how Central Asia is moving towards massive reform. And while I think that realistically a lot of people will look at Kyrgyzstan and say that, oh, there's not much to do, kind of hard to get there. Realistically, it's not that hard to get there, so if that's your answer, I'm sorry, you're really not putting in that much effort, and probably, don't complain when you are the one who misses out on these sorts of things. But Kyrgyzstan recently massively overhauled taxes, and it is one of the lowest tax countries in the world overall, and it simplified taxes quite substantially, similar to another country that I recently was in, which is also in Central Asia, Uzbekistan. Now, Kyrgyzstan has lower baseline taxes, but worse incentives overall, which, of course, pick your poison, because often Uzbekistan is tax holidays rather than full exemptions for companies. Although, realistically, as it sits, you can get permanent tax holidays, which is something that you may want to look into. And especially if you run an online business, you're in IT, whatever else, Uzbekistan can be great. But what many people don't look at is the totality of a multifaceted approach. And obviously, right now, staying in Kyrgyzstan, I've learned a lot about Kyrgyz business. And I was recently in a meeting for a client who was looking at the American Chamber of Commerce here, which, of course, I went, did the meeting, it went fine. But something that's often you don't hear about in Central Asia is if you have a local partner here, yeah, you can do everything online. 100% of things. And I was talking with the AmCham heads, and she was like, what do you mean, do things online? I was like, yeah, I need to facilitate documents and so forth online. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess if you have a local partner here, which I'm sitting there like, that's normal for most countries. However, I think she was thinking, I was like, asking about doing things totally online, which that shows just the level at which these countries are moving, right? This shows that it's not just about taxes, it's about simplifying everything. And many people will look at that and go, okay, simplifying things, what does that matter? But it means the ease of doing business is massively improving. And what happens when the ease of doing business improves? Well, you saw it in Georgia. Mass foreign direct investment, mass exoduses from different countries like Russia, like China, lesser so the United States, because the US economy actually tends to make American millionaires insular, which, of course, as you've probably noticed, it's not easy for me as a US citizen living around the world. And I've made several videos about that particular topic. If you want an in-depth video, feel free to comment down below, and I will do my best to do that. Irrespective, essentially what you get in these regards is a mass exodus of people from traditionally wealthy economies into relatively poor economies, which grows the amount of total ability to spend money, ability to grow the economy, ability to spend money in a economy, which is something that, of course, is beneficial to the vast majority who are looking at investing in these places. So with increased FDI and an increased interest in Central Asia, I believe that within the next few years, especially here in places like Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan, where there is more stable governance, there is more reason as to why people will invest. Beyond just taxes, there is a strong case to be made that this is the region of the future. Not East Asia, and not places like Malaysia, which gets a lot of coverage in these spaces, not places like Thailand or Vietnam. Although I do have interesting things to say about Vietnam, and I love the country. Additionally, I really like Thailand as well, which I'll be in Thailand, in Vietnam here soon. I'll be in China as well to talk more about BRI and how it actually is influencing Central Asia as well. Of course, with all of this being the case, I think that there's a certain level, especially here in Kyrgyzstan, innovation for the future, especially in places like Uzbekistan as well. And this innovation will drive, especially given their demographics, massive growth. And their growth has predominantly been slowed due to actors like Russia, due to an artificial slowdown of their economies, which they have finally realized how to move forward, even though they are clan-based. And clan-based societies tend to realistically be very close-knit and tend to not like change unless it is supported by the clan. And so, with that, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like the video. Feel free to subscribe if you want to join me on this journey of internationalization and globalization. If you want a jurisdictional one-pager to go over where you should move to make your money matter, feel free to drop into the description, fill out the Google Forms link. I'd be more than happy to send over a quote. With that said, this has been the Traveling Report, signing off.